Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Yeah. Once again, Lifestyle Tucson goes to the dogs. Dog advocacy plays a crucial role in protecting and promoting the rights and well-being of dogs. Through raising awareness, fighting against animal cruelty, promoting responsible ownership, and challenging breed discrimination, dog advocates are making a significant difference in the lives of dogs and creating a more compassionate and responsible society for them, especially right here in Tucson. Because today I'm fortunate enough to speak with Lara Iacobucci Paris, founder of the Tucson Action Team. Lara, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I was excited when we met. Can I call you Booch?
You can call me Booch.
That's how you're known around town. We met when you were on The Business Of, which follows this show. It's the Tucson Metro Chambers show, which is excellent. Make sure you listen all the time and on demand anytime you want with The Business Of. But we met when you were on their program, and you were just fantastic to watch, speak with. I produced that show, and I said, you got to come back and talk to me on Lifestyle Tucson, because you told me about an organization that you're behind, which is really important because it's advocacy for dogs, man's best friend.
Right.
Tell us all about that and why you went out of your way to start this mission and really, honestly, try to change the laws.
Absolutely. So when I was on here previously, we were talking about more than a bed. And for a while, that was what I called my real job. I love them. I love their mission. But Tucson Action Team started about a year ago. And a friend of mine who's running for state senate said to me, they're bringing a pet land to Marana. And I said, oh, no, they're not.
Okay.
And I was going to do everything I could to stop it. So I sat down with a former state senator and I said, tell me how the government works, and then tell me how the government really works. And I sat down at the Monica, and the Tucson Action Team was born with me and one other person.
All right. Well, that's amazing.
Yes.
Way to be a champion of something that you really care about.
Yes.
So why is pet land such a big problem?
So Petland is notorious for using puppy mill dogs. Mm-hmm. And if we know what puppy mills are, they're inhumane factory farms that just kick out dogs after dogs after dogs. And so when I was looking into pet stores, I also noticed something about their lending practices. And I said, how am I going to find a way to close these stores down when the state says we're allowed to have these stores? And by the way, Arizona is one of the last states to have pet stores.
Okay.
So I said, where's the loophole? And I found it. Some of their lending practices aren't always so savory. So that's what we started with, the advocacy for protecting people who are taking out loans on these dogs. And 80% of these dogs from pet stores are financed.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
So you go in there and you see a dog. You're like, oh, that dog's so cute. I can afford $100 a month. Well, it turns out that the loans aren't controlled the way they're controlled with the 41% cap in Arizona.
Okay.
They use things like leases instead of loans. They call them that. And so they can get around. And so all of a sudden the dog dies because it was sick from the beginning. You only have 60 days for a lemon law in Arizona. Then you still owe the loan after the dog dies.
Wow. We've
had dogs born with one lung. We've had dogs give illnesses to people.
Really?
So there's 99% of pet land dogs come from puppy mills. All you have to do is Google pet land and puppy mills.
Yeah. No, it's tragic. Some of this stuff that is like mainstream, almost left over from, like the 70s and the 80s, things like SeaWorld, where you think about, boy, this is the way things used to be. And then all of a sudden, time progressed, and they're like, this is kind of horrible to do to animals. Like,
yes.
What are we doing? We kind of need to, dare I say, wake up and fix this problem.
Right.
And the way we've treated animals, dogs especially, and the laws behind caring for pets and animals are sometimes a bit archaic, I would imagine, correct? And that's what you're trying to fix.
It is. I just got a statistic last night that 1 out of every 10 dogs will get their forever home. We're euthanizing millions of dogs as a country because there's not enough space.
Right.
PAC has been at critical capacity for over 3 years. It's not sustainable. The rescues are exhausted. PAC is exhausted. The staff is exhausted. The volunteers are exhausted. There's just no room for any more dogs. So even if you don't care about the lending or the pet stores or anything like that, it's irresponsible to bring any more dogs into a community that's oversaturated.
Yeah, because there's plenty of dogs to go around. There's plenty of best friends to go find and adopt already.
Absolutely.
In probably far more humane circumstances, and not this whole thing where, breeders are really a big issue. And is that like a bigger thing as well? Is that different than puppy mills as breeders? Are they a whole different thing?
Absolutely. So we have some breeders who care about the breed that don't breed the dogs every time they're able to breed. Then we have these backyard breeders who just breed the dogs for a little extra money and sell them on the corner, by the way, which is illegal. So it's just become people don't have enough money to afford to live. So they're like, well, I'll just breed my dog. I'll make a golden doodle or a this or a that or whatever. And basically a golden doodle is a mutt. So you're paying thousands of dollars for a mutt. And people are like, well, I wanted a golden doodle and I can't find that at the shelter. Oh, yes, you can. 25% of dogs in the shelter right now are exactly what you want. So that's part of the action team, too. We try to pair up the right dogs with the right families.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense, obviously. Because the wrong dog with the wrong family is one of the problems sometimes.
Right.
Yes, not every dog is going to be the right mix for your family. You got to find what is the right mix, what's the right size perhaps, especially not just based on your kids, how old your kids are, but how much space you have. You don't want to be living in an apartment getting a gigantic greyhound.
Right.
Yeah, it's very important to think about the health and well-being of these animals, for sure, and even just the environment in which they live, because it needs to be a bit more spacious for some of these big dogs.
Right, absolutely. And then we're trying to educate in the community also. A lot of dogs go to PAC because they nipped at the owner's children. Well, what was happening before that? Well, Johnny was putting his hand by the food bowl and maybe this dog was reactive. So we're going into schools. We just started last year going into schools and educating kids how to care for their dogs, and also educating in the community. So we're doing a little bit of everything with the action team.
Yeah, what you're doing there is because you're helping out these kids because the parents don't do enough to help these kids in general.
No.
They don't want to raise them at home. They don't want to do the homework. They don't want to do some of this stuff. Again, if you feel like I'm attacking you, then you're guilty on your own. What can I tell you? All right. But I'm sure that you have friends where it's like, man, those parents are just kind of putting the TV on and doing the bare minimum because they're attached to their screens. And it's a generation of, oh, can I have the dog? And who takes care of the dog? Famously, the dad would take care of the dog or the parents have to. But now you kind of have irresponsible parents that are barely taking care of their kids.
Right.
And now those kids are going to barely take care of these dogs.
Right.
Raising a dog is such a big deal, and training that dog. It is an animal. And the example you give, I have some stories that I'm not going to share because they break my heart about it with a friend of mine's dog that was food aggressive. And it was a problem. And if that kid goes and does something any time of day, he can mess with that dog. But if it's with the food, that's when the dog growls at my nephew. It's the only time. And the kid knows, he goes, I'm the only one he growls at. And it's like, that's because you tease him.
Right.
You tease the dog.
Right.
And he's the only one he growls at.
Right.
So it's important to really educate these kids, and the fact that you are doing it, because I know a lot of these parents are not doing it.
Exactly.
That's huge. What are some of the other programs from your very young 501c3? I'm so glad you stepped up to take action, the Tucson Action Team.
Yes.
I'm so glad you did step up to make this difference. Besides going to schools, which is huge, a big, big difference, what are some of the other programs you've got going on?
So we have an intervention program. So a lot of times we get calls that someone is abusing their animals, and they're not really abusing their animals. They just don't know how to train them. They don't know how to care for them. We just had a gentleman recently who was like, He barely spoke any English. And he's like, I found this dog on the side of the road and I wanted to care for it, but he chews up all my wires. So I wasn't abusing him. I was just yelling at him, no, don't chew the wires. And so we went there. We brought him food. We found resources for him, got him some training, got the dog spayed and neutered, got all the vaccines he needed, showed him where to get all these things on his own once we left him. And he was so thankful because many people who have animals don't know where to find affordable care, don't have enough extra money for food, and they're finding these dogs, and they're a good Samaritan for taking these dogs in, but just don't have the resources. So we help people find the resources to do better with their dog.
Well, especially when you also don't know what to do. I found some alley cats, the cutest little kittens ever. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And then there was 2, and then there were 3, and then there were 4, and they were cuter and cuter. And it was ridiculous. And we didn't know what to do. We literally just had to, where do we go? Let's look things up. Let's start making posts and ask. And we don't understand. And again, like that's what it is. But you feel thrust into a position where you want to help something.
Right.
You know, and what ends up happening is luckily when we were going to go get some food, we ran into some old friends and they have a daughter and another kid and I think they have two girls and they're like, we'll take them. We already have some cats. So they did.
Nice.
So now that cat, which we found in the, it was 2 separate stories. That cat we found inside my friend's engine was hiding in the engine because it's warm.
Right.
So he was fine. And I forget what they named him, but it had something to do with like, you know, I think engine block or something like that. Some part of the car, they named him after that. And then we found those alley cats, and a friend of mine was like, make sure you get them spayed because of exactly that. Bob Bark, you say it all the time, right? Have your pets spayed or neutered. Why is that important?
It's so important. So the action team started as just advocacy. We were trying to change laws at a local and state level. And then we realized how important spay and neuter is and how it's unaffordable for most people. Mm-hmm. If you go to your vet, it can be anywhere from $600 to $1,000.
Right.
So now we said we need to add another arm to the Tucson Action Team, help people not only pay for their spay and neuter, but to help them find the resources for affordable spay and neuter. And so now we have a program called Spay It Forward. So if you can afford it at the discounted rate, we're going to get it for you. Then you pay into the program and you can spay it forward to the next person who can't afford it.
Brilliant. Again, this is the whole thing. Find the cause that you're looking for, but sometimes that cause finds you. So if you do care about pets and pets in our community and you don't want the overrun of all these animals, obviously, because it's just bad for all of them. It's bad for all the dogs receive less care, the more dogs there are.
Right.
So the idea of helping everybody out, if you can spay it forward, you should. That's a really big, amazing thing. And again, a pun always works.
I know.
A pun always works.
I know. And that's really what happened is I was with Friends of Pack and we were planning the pet parade and I love the pet parade. And I said to Tori, the executive director, who's amazing, I said, I feel like there's too many dogs. Like this is not sustainable. And they step in where they can. But if you don't have the space, you don't have the space. So now they have 2 and 3 dogs in each kennel. And people are always like, well, just build another one. No, that's not the answer. The answer is to educate the community that these dogs are precious and they can't just throw them in the backyard and leave them. Yeah. They need the care and the love and the consideration, and they can't just abandon them at the park when they don't feel like taking care of them anymore.
Yeah, I grew up on Long Island, so that used to be something that happened there. They get abandoned at the beach. They'd take these dogs to the beach and just let them go. And I know there's areas here by the reservation. They have res dogs, right. Famously. If you go to the casino, sometimes some dogs come on up, right. And they're friendly. They're wearing a bandana, but they're just roaming around because there's right. So many.
Right.
You know, and again, that's another thing where we just have to educate some of these folks on just the best practices to make sure these dogs aren't just running all over the place and running rampant, loose in the streets, because that's dangerous. There's coyotes around, but also I've been to some of that area where then there's just dogs darting across those highways.
Right.
You know, and that is an overrun and it's a lack of control for sure.
Right. And that's so important that you brought that up because dogs can cause an accident.
Yeah.
Dogs can become aggressive because they're starving. So all of a sudden you have these stray dogs that make a pack and they're looting through your neighborhood and people are afraid to go in the alley because there's a pack of dogs living back there, but there's just no more space.
Yeah.
So we need to get more responsible. And like I said, we saw a need and we went from 2 people to now we're up to over 900 members.
Wow. That's fantastic. In a year.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Because again, if you can't, donate money, which we'll get to because you should, donate time and volunteer.
Right.
So being a volunteer-based organization is a big deal. What do some of the volunteers get to do and get involved with?
It just depends what you're interested in. I mean, you will always find me at everything. And people come to things because they want to talk to me and they want to hear what's going on. But we have dog mixers at different restaurants. We have protests.
Okay.
I will always be out there with a sign that says Google this or that or whatever. We have the education department, which goes into the schools, and we're in Laguna School right now because they said start at the school that needs the most help. So we started at Laguna School. We have a spay and neuter team. We have an intervention team. So whatever you're wanting to do, I can find a job for you.
That's incredible. And again, helping out the community. This is one of those things where you're trying to get the dominoes to fall in the right direction. You helping out here is going to help out a lot of things, a butterfly effect that you will not see. But some family will not have a pack of dogs in their back alley because we are lowering the population of these stray dogs, these stray animals, and the overpopulation of them, which is, again, it's so sad. And I know that I remember we had talked a little bit about like kind of the thing with PAC is like it is hard that they will show you photos and friends of PAC showing you photos like here's please like begging the community to adopt a dog. Someone please help.
Right. Look
at this cute little face. Please, someone help because time's running out because space has already run out.
Right.
And that is so hard. It's an ugly part of the world we don't want to think about. Right. But we have to address it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't want to do. They don't want to think about it or they want somebody else to do something.
Right.
No, you're the someone, you're the something. Do it.
That's right. Call them out, Booch. Let's go. I get all these people. This is what I do all the time. Listen, okay? We like to take a trip on Lifestyle Tucson. It's called a guilt trip.
Yes.
Right? Get involved because you got to get off the couch. All right? You got to get up and get out of the house. It's a good excuse to do something. It's a good reason to get involved. You get to hang out with puppies and dogs and all that fun stuff. Go to community events, and now it's the good time to do it. We're going to be getting out of the summer, so we're getting back into event season and fun things. Let me ask you, do you have any other annual events, or what are some of the big events that we can find you at, some of your bigger events that you just get involved with? I know you're a new organization, so you're not throwing events, but you'll be out at some of these things, like the Pets of Pima Parade when that comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
We will be there. And because I planned and helped with the Pets of Pima Parade, I already am planning events. So August 31st, I will be up in Oro Valley at the Farmers Market. October 5th, we will be at Corbett's for a pickleball event.
Fun.
The 21st of September, we will be at Choose because they're having a little vendor event. And then we'll be having our fall dog mixer. And then in January, because it's my birthday month, we'll be having a big dog blowout. We have the best time. And if people say, well, I can't meet people in Tucson or I'm having a hard time connecting with my people, your people are in the action team if you love dogs. Because we had, at our last event, we had a couple of candidates who came and spoke. And we talked about dog issues and everybody brings their dogs and we have a raffle and it's a good time. It's a really good time.
I mean, it just sounds fun. Like
it is
that's
fun.
Right? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How fun. So get involved. Like, it's just that simple. That's a lot of events already. Way to go.
Yeah.
All right. It's very easy to go make friends in the community, no matter who I talk to at any age. Making new friends is what's important. And I'm even a part of a lot of these Facebook groups or Tucson groups. People move here all the time.
Right.
And they're always looking for something fun to do and somewhere to go and people to meet. And this sounds like a really great meet and greet at all these opportunities, especially because you love dogs, you have a pet, and wanting to help animals is a really good, fun thing to do.
It is.
Right?
It is. And I usually have anywhere from 40 to 50 people at the event.
Nice.
So you can meet people, you can talk dogs. There's always a bunch of dogs there. And it's just a good time. It is really a good time.
Right. And remember, your family can volunteer. Like, this is the thing. It's not just like this solo thing. Like, get your whole family to get involved and do a fun thing. This is a good way to teach your kids really about getting involved. I remember when I went to high school, like they have the thing when you're doing your college admissions, right? Oh, how much volunteering have you done? And in New York, we all just laugh at that, right? It's ridiculous. Right. But nowadays, it's been many, many years. Like, volunteering is a big part of my life, and getting involved is a big part of anyone's life. You know, you really should get more involved in your community, and civics is important, but get involved with all the folks that are doing fun things.
Yeah.
Like pickleball with dogs,
you
know?
Yeah. I mean, come on. But I have always said that I made my stepson start volunteering at 13.
Okay.
And it was great for his first job. He went to go work at El Charro. Thank you, Ray Flores.
Yeah, Ray.
But
I did the kids menu for El Charro.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, it's a comic all about Monica. It's 4 pages. It's excellent.
I love that.
It's my favorite. It's one of the best things I've ever done, and that family's phenomenal. Like, and the Monica is phenomenal. They're great, and they help out a lot of great organizations.
Yes.
The Children's Museum, schools with their gardens. They do a lot of great stuff here, too.
They really do. So he was looking for his first job. And Ray's like, go up to El Charro. He had volunteering on his resume, so that probably helped him get a job. But I was making him rake yards and clean dog poop since he was a teenager. And I'm like, this is why you have to go to college, because you don't want to do this for a living. And he's like, exactly.
Right.
So now, he's coming back from NAU this summer, working at El Charro again, up in Oro Valley. So, it's a great time, and it's a great way to get your kids involved. And this can be such an amazing community if we all do our part, which we're trying to do.
Again, because we're trying to make it better for all of us here, but let's make it better for a lot of these animals, because they didn't ask for this situation. And that's one of the saddest things about it.
Right.
You know, you don't want circumstances to have people be separated by a pet or separated from their pet. But when those circumstances arise, those pets need somewhere to go. And right now, we're at max capacity, it sounds like. So let's do something else. Let's get a call to action out there to people for the Tucson Action Team. If you could just do a call to action, what do you want the most out of this community?
Well, right now, I want people to get involved. Mm-hmm. If they see something, say something. I tell people join and post it on the group. I always tell people post it on the group and we can help. Either there's a dog sign, which again is illegal to sell dogs on the side of the road. If you see somebody selling dogs, if you see a dog without water, like I said, PAC is stretched to the brim. They really need the community's help, not in just fostering and adopting, but being the voice for these animals. But right now, we're trying to fund our spay and neuter team. We're actually, on October 16th, we're doing a spay and neuter clinic for those who can't afford it.
Okay.
And we would love donations. You can go to Tucson Action Team and click the Give button, and that goes right to our spay and neuter team.
Huge. I mean, way to absolutely step up in this way. Because I was going to ask, I did almost have a follow-up a little bit ago, but then we got off of it. Where is a place that people can get affordable spay and neutering? Are there free services anywhere for that? Or does that happen once a year somewhere? Like, is it just so rare because I thought that was something that was a little more affordable. So I'm a little surprised.
It's not.
Yeah.
And because there's a vet shortage, there's not pet inclusive housing. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of these things play into not being able to take care of your pet.
Yeah.
So think of a family who's living from paycheck to paycheck, and all of a sudden the dog gets sick or the dog gets valley fever because it's digging in the soil. Then all of a sudden a new expense is a medication that may be $100 a month. How many families have an extra $100 a month? So spay and neuter, there's just a few clinics that do affordable spay and neuter, but we're actually doing a mobile unit that's going to park and fix up to 30 dogs.
That's huge.
So we're making our list right now because people need help, and maybe people can pay $50. Maybe they can't pay the whole $200.
Yeah.
So we're trying to help people navigate affordable care for their animals because it's not always affordable.
Right.
Shots are expensive. Food is expensive.
I'll tell you, I was just visiting back in New York. One of the biggest things that has popped up is the veterinary hospitals. like it's people have seen the gimmick, huh? And
Yes.
your cat's like $6,000. Pet insurance is out of control now. And like they've seen the money is in people's pets because people didn't used to call their pets their kids. Now they do. It's a big thing. Our relationship with our pets has kind of grown a lot more in the past few decades. And I feel like you can see people taking advantage of it in the medical aspect of things sometimes.
Well, I just read an article that Mars Candy
Yeah,
has vet clinics.
really.
I'm like, this has become big business.
And that's exactly
It's
why.
the gold standard of care for these vets. So I just took Stewie and Georgie, my two guys, for a wellness exam because I'm that person. We're going for a wellness exam.
Okay.
We went for a wellness exam, some blood work, some shots, and it was $1,200.
Wow.
And that's my regular vet,
Yeah.
but it's just, the senior blood panel was $350, and so I don't remember my grandparents who always had dogs, and I've always had a dog as a family. I don't remember these wellness exams and all these vaccinations and
Right.
things like this. The dog just kind of existed in our house.
Yeah.
So
I think I saw someone threw a cat a bat mitzvah the other day online. I mean, it's getting out of control. But yes, no, there's a lot of stuff when it comes to that. And really, you stepping up, and really, again, you literally just stepped up. This is organization's brand new. If you want to get involved with this amazing organization, go check out TucsonActionTeam.com because it's a really big thing to get involved with. And you've done such a great thing by giving people a place to get involved.
thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed what we talked about because today we made friends with Lara Iacobucci. You know her as Booch if you're friends with her like I am. What's your role title at this thing besides founder? Is it just founder? Or
I'm founder.
let's call you the founder and someone saving Tucson over at the Tucson Action Team. Advocacy for dogs. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. I really enjoyed talking to Lara Iacobucci, Paris Booch, as she's known around town, from the Tucson Action Team. What a great thing to do, getting involved, starting a big nonprofit, something that you saw that really needed help. Again, I always talk about this. If you see a gap, try and fill it. That's like a small business thing. And you should really step up to find the cause that you feel. Again, as I was saying before, Lisa Chastain from the Gospel Rescue Mission talks about how your cause finds you. So if you care about dogs and advocacy for dogs, you should really get involved with the Tucson Action Team. You can do so over at TucsonActionTeam.com. Their Instagram is Tucson_action_team. So go follow them there as well and give them a like on Facebook. I'm sure they're easy to find. I couldn't believe what she said about Mars Candy. Talk about what they're trying to do, right? You know that dogs are allergic to chocolate. What do they think? And then they open up veterinary clinics? That's too cyclical. It's cynical. That's what I think, these Mars M&Ms. My goodness, what do they think? I hope they're not a sponsor. I'd want the M&Ms. Anyway, I want to thank our new friends at Tucson Action Team, Advocacy for Dogs, for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are. Good boy. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. Toot toot Tucson. I love you the most.